and welcome to the first episode of our NHCFAE Career Series. I'm Oscar Torres, president of the National Hispanic Coalition here. And this new series is all about shining a light on the incredible people who not only make our aviation and aerospace community, but also the individuals who are part of our familia. We want to hear about their careers, stories, and the passion that drives them. To kick off the series, I'm joined by someone dear to my heart, someone I have the privilege of working alongside with daily. Here is my dear friend, una hermana de corazón, our vice president and aerospace engineer, Ms. Karen Perez. Karen, thank you for helping us launch this exciting new chapter.
Thank you, Oscar. I am incredibly honored to be part of the first episode. I think it's an amazing idea to spotlight the careers of our NHCFAE members. I think it really allows us to showcase the talent we bring. We have members from all walks of life with all types of professional experiences and really the variety of what's possible within a career in aviation.
That's exactly what we want here, right? We want to celebrate our members and show the next generation of aviation and aerospace professionals that it's just not about flying airplanes, right? It's about innovation, engineering, rockets, space, and building the future for sure. But let's start, Karen. Let's get this kicked off here with your journey, right? Everybody's here who has heard me speak and everything. I always talk about a story that we always have, right? And along with that story comes a journey that, could be long, could be short. But in this case, for us, it's definitely been long to get to where we are. So please tell us, how did this journey begin for you?
Yeah, my family's from the Dominican Republic. I remember as a kid, every summer, every Christmas, anytime we were out of school, getting dressed up to go to the airport and hop on a plane. I remember the sheer excitement of displaying our best selves, our best clothes, and landing on this island in the Caribbean where, our roots are from, where our family's from, hearing the music, culture, food. And I think that was basically my first exposure of aviation, just seeing how it could connect our current life with where we came from. To this day, anywhere I'm flying to, no matter how long or how short a trip is, I always have the last takeoff and landing of our trip. It's like the last spoonful of a dessert. That was my first exposure. In high school, I had a maxillofacial surgery. My mouth was wired shut for 6 weeks, and I could only drink and eat liquids through a straw. After that ordeal, I was fascinated with the fact that I endured that entire process and I came out with a smile that I liked. I really wanted to be an oral surgeon. I declared a biochemistry with a dental concentration with the intent of going to dental school. And that's when I realized, wait, I'm a big picture kind of person and I'm over here studying this thing inside of a cell. Do I really care about what's going on at that microscopic level? And my interests didn't reflect that. My grades didn't reflect that. So I really struggled with what I wanted to do. I remember always talking to my mom about it. I ended up taking a career aptitude test and my results were culinary science, architecture, electrical engineering, and aerospace engineering. I remember thinking, aerospace engineering, I really love airplanes. So I essentially made the switch over from biochemistry to aerospace engineering. I did it in such a intuitive way that the way I would make that decision today is completely different. I would have done a lot of research, pros and cons before making a decision. But back then I just made the switch. I declared a different major and I started my classes and it was like everything just clicked. I enjoyed my classes centered around math and science. I've always been good at math and it helped me learn how I learn. Like I've never had the best memory ever. So biochemistry was a lot of memorization and that wasn't my forte, but aerospace engineering, it was process. It was learning formulas, when to use them. Everything just clicked and I felt like, wow, I'm learning something I enjoy and I can see myself doing this long term. So that's how I got started in my career, making that switch, doing internships and really wetting my feet on just the different avenues within the aerospace industry.
That's great. And, it's definitely been the journey, right? Fast forward, you're an aerospace engineer now. You talked about how you got there. Tell us a little bit about, and, we've been privy to this information with the conversations we've had in the past. Everybody talks about space, SpaceX, and everything. And you have a direct correlation with these projects. So talk about that. Obviously, we know you're an aerospace engineer with the FAA, but talk a little bit about those exciting projects. We see them on YouTube, the launches and everything. They land themselves back, right? Tell us what kind of role you play with these type of projects, because everybody, please note, the FAA regulates these types of operations and everything. And I'd like to hear from Karen how she plays a role and how all this comes together.
Yes, Oscar. As you said, I am an aerospace engineer in the FAA, where we license the private companies that want to launch their rockets into space. So that includes SpaceX, Blue Origin, Rocket Lab, ULA, et cetera, all of them. So I essentially have a program management role in walking the launch operator through the regulatory licensing process, interacting on a periodic basis with them, making sure that they are in compliance with our regulations, interacting internally with our subject matter experts to ensure risks are below a certain threshold. What are the probabilities of failures along the trajectory? If it were to explode, where would that occur? Where would the debris fall? Would it possibly fall on someone's house and hurt someone? We conduct a hazard analysis to make sure there are no single points of failures in all of the systems on the vehicle, be it the avionics system, the thermal protection system, pressure system, propellants, basically any of the systems on board. We do an environmental review, making sure that no species, habitats, ecosystems in the vicinity of the launch site or anywhere along the trajectory is impacted, including marine life, since there are a lot of cross-ocean overflights. We also coordinate with air traffic controllers to ensure that the airspace along the trajectory of the rocket is free and clear of aircraft. And then we also coordinate with other agencies like NASA, Coast Guard, Department of State, Department of Defense, intelligence agencies to make sure that U.S. interests like national security and foreign policy interests are not compromised by the operation that a launch operator is proposing. We are essentially making sure that public safety is protected and that these companies can carry out their mission safely and securely, whether involving space tourism, like flying to the moon, which I do believe one day will be like, hey, Oscar, you want to go to the moon this weekend? Yeah, then let's go. So whether that's involving flying to the moon, human exploration, populating Mars, future endeavors like asteroid mining for mineral resources, conducting medical experiments in zero gravity to find the cure of cancer. So every launch operation is basically this grand orchestra of different people, different teams, instruments, systems, all interacting with each other to reach its final goal of launching and successfully and safely carrying out a mission from beginning to end. So for me, it's humbling to know the roots that I have, the fact that there aren't very many Hispanics representing or Latina women representing in this field, to understand that my grandmother came to this country and she cleaned bathrooms, to understand that I'm playing a granular role. No, it doesn't matter how tiny it is, but to understand that I'm playing a granular role in human exploration of space. It's such a fulfilling feeling. Understanding my humble beginnings, my ancestors' beginnings, the fact that they never had the opportunity to go to school and they really wanted to. Maybe they were harshly encouraged to get married and have kids instead. And here I am doing something amazing for the country. It's an amazing feeling. I feel like I have so much purpose. And I wish all of us felt that.
Gotta admit, I got a little teary-eyed when you mentioned that. We talk about the sacrifices of our parents, our grandparents, leaving their country with the main objective, providing a better future for us. And what better reward, you as an example of becoming such an inspirational woman and being who you are. I'm sure they look back now and it's like, wow, I think this is the greatest gift we can give them as a thank you. I've always felt that way, right? If they gave us the opportunity to come to this country and go to school and prepare ourselves, I think this is the biggest thank you that we can give those who sacrifice so much for us to just have a shot of a better life here. So it's truly inspiring. Now, talking about these challenges, right? Segue into that. I think it's a perfect segue to talk about the challenges, how our parents, grandparents face. Let's talk a little bit about any challenges that you may have faced, right? Coming through as a woman in, let's be honest, aviation, aerospace, for many years has been a male-dominated industry, but you coming along, looking back, school, and even becoming an aerospace engineer, what are those challenges, right, that you faced along the way that you feel that helped you kind of push through and break those barriers?
Yeah, there have been a couple of challenges. Imposter syndrome, for one, the wrong belief that you got here by accident, that doors kind of sort of open for you accidentally, even despite the fact that you busted your butt and you earn 2 engineering degrees. That's no small feat. Understanding that even if you don't know everything, we judge ourselves and compare ourselves with our colleagues. Understanding that your training, your academic training and experience in general, and the cultural, how do I say this? Even where we come from, culturally, we bring different perspectives that allow us to see solutions others may not. I came to understand I busted my butt to earn those 2 degrees. Even if I don't know this or I don't know that, those things that I'm visibly seeing in others doesn't mean that I didn't learn the tools that I need to face any challenge that comes my way. And I believe that now. It was hard to understand initially because despite the fact that our culture can be an asset, we can also have it as baggage in terms of where, especially Latinas, we're taught to be quiet. Calladita te ves más bonita. The quieter you are, the prettier you are. So growing up, you didn't always have a voice. You were told to be quiet. That was also a challenge for me to outgrow, that I was taught, or we were taught, those beliefs because that worked for the person before us and the person before us and the person before us. But we are blazing trails and we are in new environments never before faced by us. We have to unlearn and release things that do not serve us, that are not beneficial as habits. While back then it was beneficial to calladita te ves más bonita, the quieter, the prettier you are, it doesn't serve us anymore. So it's definitely been a challenge to unlearn certain things and realize we no longer need to implement, that we no longer need to believe, that we no longer need to carry with us. Because at the same time, yes, we're blazing trails, but if we hold that with us, we're passing that on to those watching us, whether it be our kids, whether it be our mentees. There are things that we don't want to hold back the next generation coming up. So there's that. Another one is feeling like you're alone on this career path and not having anyone to turn to, which essentially highlights the importance of organizations like this, the connections that you form with colleagues and mentors, the fellowship you receive from those that have similar backgrounds as you, that understand where you come from, maybe the difficulties you face growing up, whether that's living in the projects, living in the hood, being on government assistance, going to public schools and seeing fights every day, all the things that make you to have someone else understand that you're seen. When you're seen, I would say you shine better, you perform better because someone understands where you're coming from. So that's what the Hispanic Coalition has provided for me. All the things that you did not have modeled for you growing up. So there were no engineers in my family. I didn't even know what an engineer was growing up. So maybe I was in high school. So there's only so much that if you have an issue at work and you talk to your parents at night and say, hey, I'm having this issue, there's only so much advice that they can give you because they have only a certain perspective. I'm not saying that it's invalid. There's nothing like having feedback from someone who understands where you're coming from, understands where you are, and understands the potential of where you can go, whether that's a peer, a mentor, or someone you admire professionally. It's invaluable to have that kind of guidance that no one else can give you. So the role that the Hispanic Coalition has played for me, I encourage anyone in the professional realm to have mentors, and they don't have to be formal for you to get something out of it. I have a lot of mentors that don't even know that they're my mentors because they're just friends. They may be younger than me. I think there is a false misunderstanding that you can only learn from those older than you. And I think we all have something to contribute to each other in different ways. So, yeah, been a good number of challenges, but what brings me back to center is understanding that I do have the tools that I need to overcome any situation, to overcome any challenge. And when I cannot rely on myself because I don't know, I also have this support system, this professional support system that I can tap into when we're on this path, blazing these trails for the people that are coming behind us.
That's great. It's like breaking that mold, right? We come from families that we're being taught to be a certain way, and then breaking that mold and kind of just say, you know what, I want to do this career, which, like you said, never no engineers in your family. We come from a culture that I'm going to do what my dad does, or I'm going to do what mom did, et cetera. And then just kind of breaking that mold. And it's like walking a fine line. It's like, oh my God, mom's going to get upset or dad's going to get upset because I'm not following those footsteps. I mean, aviation, no one in my family has ever worked in aviation. So yeah, it's definitely scary, right? Because you're stepping out of, you don't want to seem like you're stepping out of line, but it just, these are the type of things that have to be done. Look what it's done for you. And looking back now, I'm sure mommy, papi are like, oh man, that's the best thing you've ever could have done. I'm glad you kind of pivoted a little bit towards the coalition, right? And I wanted to kind of just ask you, talk a little bit about that, right? To talk professional, how this organization allows us to create a network of finding those peers, finding those possible mentors to talk to, someone who's doing the job that we envision to eventually do sometime. But talk a little bit of how you got involved in the coalition. And over the years, I think we've all got involved at the local levels, kind of inspired ourselves, networking with individuals in aviation and aerospace, felt at home. But for me, the coalition has always, when we say we are a familia, definitely you always feel like home in our meetings, our conferences, et cetera. But I wanted to touch on your view, how you got involved and what has the coalition meant for you over all these years?
Yeah, I got involved in the coalition. I believe it was 2012. I was fresh into my career. I had just started a couple of months before at the FAA. One of my unofficial mentors was heavily involved with the coalition. His name is Jose Hoga, Dominican background, someone who felt very familiar to me, just someone that felt familiar in an unfamiliar situation, in an unfamiliar environment where otherwise I would have felt like the only one. I would have felt like there's only, which is fine, because I think it's important to have the skill to be flexible and adapt to any environment with different people. That's incredibly important. But there's something special about having someone that understands where you come from, the foods that you were raised on, the music. That was my start. I started getting involved at the chapter level. I was the deputy regional chapter director for a couple of years before transitioning into the chapter president role, eventually bleeding into different national positions and then finally as national VP. But I think my involvement felt like home because I moved to the Washington, D.C. area. My family's in Miami or in the Dominican Republic, and I didn't have anyone. It was a really great start for me to start opening up and allowing myself to interact with folks I wouldn't have otherwise been put in place to meet. I think I would often get excited when there was a younger person or someone with a similar background, but within the halls of our building, you might not bump into them very easily. I think our organization, the NHCFAE, was the perfect platform to bring all of us together. And just that sense of unity, that sense of familia, like you said, to allow us to feel that support we might not otherwise feel, to learn from professionals that have been in the agency for 20, 30, 40 years that can grant us that wisdom. And this is when the NHCFAE was exclusive to the FAA. Now with the Hispanic Coalition opening up to all aviation professionals, I think it's just going to be an absolute mind goal just to be able to interact with so many folks at the professional level in and out of government agencies and get a feel for all different aspects of what it takes to really have a safe aviation system, a safe aerospace industry. It takes people like us. It takes our talent, our diverse backgrounds to come up with all the solutions to the challenges that we face every day. Especially we come from very humble beginnings where we make do with no matter what we have and we make it happen. And we bring that attitude with us when we come to professional positions like this. We make it happen. A lot of us tend to undermine the importance of that. It's powerful to understand that no matter what, I'm going to make it happen because that's the kind of blood that flows in me for the people that come up behind me and the people that came before me that didn't have the opportunity to go to school, to have a career like I do, to have the financial security that I have now. So there are all these things full circle that we make happen because those behind us couldn't do it, and those that are coming need more than this. It's an amazing perspective to pass on so everyone can see through that lens.
Karen, I think it's perfect to say, you know, for us in this organization, we have the great ability that this organization gives us the platform to reach out to youngsters, to individuals sitting in those classrooms, provide some mentorship, some advice, et cetera, right now. So in closing, right, I wanted to ask you what kind of advice. I know we just had a recent event in Puerto Rico, but there's a really powerful picture of you talking to a young girl there. That's the type of work that, you know, our members are contributing to, right, in order to make those type of situations possible. So with that being said, Karen, piece of advice. We pride ourselves in sharing our story, providing feedback, tips, some encouragement to young professionals. This series today, what kind of message, what kind of advice would you provide for them now?
I would say there's no feat too big for you. As an engineer, you need a strong math background. A lot of people are intimidated by numbers. For me, and how good I'm at math I became was due to the fact that I saw math is basically a set of building blocks. You can't climb a roof if the foundation is not set. When it comes to levels of math, if you're not dominating, it's because you're missing something. Once you understand that math is building blocks, you dominate this theory, these equations, life is like that. So if you're struggling with something, it's because you're missing something that you kind of skipped. So once I understood that, I felt like I was unstoppable when it came to math. So I guess my advice to anyone looking to get into the aerospace industry, there's nothing that can stop you once you dominate things one step at a time. And understanding there's power in your mentality. I know I'm going to make this happen no matter what. We bring that mentality with us. We can make anything happen. Our thoughts are powerful. If we feel something is too hard, it becomes that for us. You are as powerful as you want to be. You can have anything in this life you want. Every fiber of me believes you can have anything you want in this life, even the things that seem the most impossible. We have a lot more handed to us than those that came behind us. There's nothing you can't make happen if you really want it.
Es posible. Everything's possible. That's great. I think it's a great way to close it out. Like I mentioned before, I've had the honor and privilege to work alongside you, being a friend, hermana de verdad, and to hear you, you know, tell your story and everything else is still emotional. It's still, we've tapped on that over the years, but hearing you, I can tell you as a father of three daughters, you inspire my daughters. I tell them about you and et cetera. And you are a woman to emulate. And that's what I inspire my daughters to grow up to be, someone successful and influential, passionate about everything.
Hold on, Oscar. Don't make me cry now.
I know we're going to hear more stories from our members, but to sum it up, you could see the passion, you could see the, you know, the sincerity of us being part of this organization. And when we all come together, I think that's what makes our organization special, because we put our heart into this and really mean it. We're not there for a photo op. We're trying to inspire youngsters, change someone's life. One of the main goals of the organization is to go into our communities and help out as many individuals as possible and be that example for them. So I get a little teary-eyed myself, but that's good. It's an absolute pleasure and honor. Thank you. This is the first episode. There'll be a lot more stories here. This is what the coalition is all about, right? To empower, connect, and celebrate aviation professionals, aerospace professionals from all walks of life. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this conversation, please consider joining this organization. Visit our website, nhcfae.org. We are on our social media platforms as well, NHCFAE on Instagram, etc. And it's all about giving you access to mentorship, scholarships, professional growth, and opportunities, and a community that believes in your success. So I want to thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Thank you.